Now, what's an astronomy course without a discussion about the stars? In this video, we finally begin to talk about the wonders of the cosmos and take our first look at some of its secrets. First off, what exactly is a star? A star is a large, spherical, self-luminous celestial body made primarily of a form of matter called plasma, which is a gas whose temperature is so high that it no longer behaves like gas and it takes on more fluid properties. This means that of all of the objects that can be seen in the night sky, only those that fit this description are considered stars. In fact, most stars have already been named. If they've been observed, they've been named. And remember, we've been looking up at the skies for a very, very long time. So it's safe to say that any observable star that you can see in the night sky today most likely has a name. In this image, taken during the Quadrantids meteor shower, we can see several prominent stars. In the constellation of Orion, the Hunter, the stars Betelgeuse and Bellatrix are the Hunter's shoulders, while Scythe and Rigel are his knees, meaning that Alnitak, Alnilam, and Mintaka make up Orion's belt. Behind Orion, just to the left of Scythe and Betelgeuse, we have the Hunter's trusty companions, Sirius in the constellation Canis Major, or the big dog, and Procyon in the constellation Canis Minor, the little dog. Now, if you're a fan of Harry Potter, you'll notice the not-so-coincidental coincidence of the star Sirius being found in the Canis Major constellation. Other objects featured here are the Pleiades Cluster, the Rosette Nebula, and several other stars. Now, I understand it may be extremely tempting to want to show a grand romantic gesture to a loved one by buying or naming a star in their honor. But please, don't fall for this. It should be abundantly clear by now that all stars have already been named and classified in the databases of the International Astronomical Union. So all you really get is a fancy piece of paper as a receipt and not much more than that if you do decide to buy a star. Now, I briefly mentioned some constellations when we were looking at some of the images at the beginning of this video, but now let's really dive into this concept. What are constellations? Astronomers have split the night sky into a patchwork of puzzle pieces that fit together beautifully. The system of constellations that we will be focusing on in this class is the one that modern or Western astronomy tends to use, even though the concept of breaking up the night sky into patches is an ancient practice. Traditionally, the patterns that ancient astronomers observed were generally referred to as constellations. These were the figures created by connecting the dots in the night sky. One of the most easily recognizable figures is the Big Dipper, which is technically considered an asterism, not a constellation. In the current modern astronomical definition, a constellation is one of the 88 patches of the sky officially recognized by the IAU. But remember, you can have many different asterisms within a constellation, some of which are recognizable while others could be completely spontaneous and made up, just like the shapes you can see in the clouds. Here we see all 88 of the modern constellations. But just as the Mercator projection of the world map distorts the sizes of some countries, so too does this map. Not all of the constellations are stretched out like this. The constellation Octans, for example, containing the south celestial pole, actually looks like this. Now, did you notice the pink dotted line that snaked its way through these familiar constellations? This curve is called the Ecliptic, and it represents the path of the sun as it moves through the daytime sky throughout a full calendar year. The constellations that fall within this ecliptic path are the constellations of the zodiac, but the only one that's missing from this list is Ophiuchus, which we determined earlier was the 13th constellation of the zodiac. Now, from an observer's point of view, the ecliptic is the path across the sky that the sun, moon, and all of the planets follow during their routine motion throughout the year. It is called as such because it is along this path that eclipses happen. When we look towards the southern sky, the ecliptic is a curved path across the sky that the sun follows as it rises in the east each morning, setting in the west each afternoon. The ecliptic plane, however, is an arbitrary field on which the Earth, together with the moon, orbits the sun. Earth's tilt remains the same as it orbits the sun on the ecliptic plane at a distance of nearly 150 million kilometers. Astronomers refer to this distance as an astronomical unit, abbreviated AU, which is conveniently named, but we'll explore more about this concept later. Now, not only does the Earth orbit the Sun on the ecliptic plane, but so do the rest of the planets, and the asteroids, and the comets, and the Kuiper Belt objects, and the trans-Neptunian objects. Basically, anything that exists as a part of our solar system, trapped in orbit by the Sun's gravity, orbits the Sun on the ecliptic plane.